Do you guys know what this is? This is powdered calcium, and more specifically, it's powdered eggshells. Eggshells that we have saved over time and then ground up. They dried out, then we ground them up into a powder, a very fine powder, and then we'll take this over the course of the winter and we'll put these over all of our growing grounds, our gardens, our fruit trees, wherever things are growing. And this provides a really good source of calcium for those plants. If you have issues with blossom rot or issues in growing in general, chances are a lot of funguses and a lot of diseases can be cured by just putting down calcium. And one of the best ways you can go about doing that is by grinding up your eggshells and then spreading them down over the winter.
So years ago, there was a guy locally who came to see me, and he said, Zach, most of the people who choose to homestead, don't make it. And I would agree with him after now living here 10 years and seeing lots of people come and go. And I would suggest that even off-grid is even a more difficult path to go down. There was an article that came out this last week of 3 off-gridders, people who decided to just go off-grid.
That's it! We're going off the grid!
Well, they didn't make it. Let's read the article. Over at the HastingsTribune.com, 3 campers found dead at a remote Colorado campsite were trying to live off the grid. Good night. Colorado Springs, Colorado, the three former Colorado Springs residents found dead at a Gunnison County campsite were attempting to live off the grid, namely to get as far away from civilization as possible, according to a relative who knew them well. Rebecca Vance, 42, Christine Vance, 41, and Rebecca's 14-year-old son were found July 9th at a remote camping area in Gunnison County when a hiker discovered the badly decomposed remains of one of the campers and notified authorities. Gunnison County deputies later found the other 2 bodies in similarly advanced states of decomposition. Travala Jera, Rebecca and Christine's stepsister, said the 2 women told her of their plans last year. Sounds like they're sisters. Rebecca was fearful of a lot of things with the way she thought the world was going. Well, aren't we all, said Jera, who grew up with Christine and Rebecca. She was actually trying to save her son and our sister. In early August, so that's last August, a couple of days before they set off for Gunnison, the Vance sisters stopped by Jera's home in Security, I guess that's a town name, to drop off some family possessions and to say goodbye. While they were there, Jera and her husband Tommy attempted to talk them out of leaving. We tried to stop them, Jera said, but they just wouldn't listen. Their minds were already made up. The campers told no one but Jera and her husband what they were planning to do, but they wouldn't tell us where they were going. Bad idea. Jera was concerned that her sisters and nephew were courting danger, particularly because they had no outdoor survival experience. No outdoor survival experience. Goodness gracious. You can't go on the internet and watch videos on how to live off-grid and then actually do it. If you have no experience, Jera said, you just can't do that. They died of starvation because they weren't prepared. Now, Jera is saying that they died of starvation. The authorities, according to this article, don't really give any reasons why they died. But obviously, Jera has been approached by authorities. It says so in the article, and they probably told her that it seems that they died of starvation. There was nothing, kooky or, suspicious about how they passed away, it looks like. There's an RV there, and we have a generator, and there's a general store not far away, Jera said. We offered it to them so that they could at least practice before going out there on their own. Christine seemed inclined to take them up on their offer, but Becky didn't want to, Jera said. Jera was notified of their deaths on July 11, 2 days after they were found. When I got the call, I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to believe that they were gone. Jera remembers her sisters as wonderful people with markedly different personalities. Christine was more lively and outgoing, while Rebecca was quieter and more guarded with a tendency to brood. Ever since we were kids, she did not like to be around people, Jera said. She was a huge introvert. She didn't trust anybody, and she liked to be by herself and with Christine. Jera said she didn't agree with Rebecca's belief that the world was spinning out of control. Obviously, Jera's not paying attention. But in the end, all I could do was try to support them. They weren't crazy. A little crazy. Becky wasn't crazy, Jera said. She believed she was doing what she needed to do to save her son. Now, I believe we can all kind of get an idea of where Rebecca's at here. If you're not looking around at the world and think, oh my goodness, the world's spinning out of control, you're not just firing on all cylinders. The world is absolutely going crazy. But jumping off into a place where you have no way to survive and you don't know how to survive, you've never done this before, it's not going to work well. Now, who knows what happened last winter? Maybe they got into a place where they couldn't get off the mountain and they froze to death. It's been a year. So it sounds like to me, winter probably took its toll and they didn't have a lot of food to survive. And, snowfalls being what they are, if they were in a very remote place of Colorado, they just couldn't get out and they froze to death and they didn't have food and the ability to keep themselves warm. I don't know the exact circumstances. Maybe we'll never know. But there are people out there who think that when hard times come, they're just going to jump off somewhere into some national forest and think that they're going to be able to survive. And I tell you, you have another thing coming. There are times, as much as I have learned living off grid, as much as I have learned homesteading, gardening, and hunting, and doing all of these things, I still question myself. I'm like, do I have what it takes? Do I have the knowledge to be able to provide for myself and my family if everything else is just turned off tomorrow? I like to think that I have that ability, but I'm not perfect, and I know I don't know everything, and I'm going to have to face some hard realities when that day comes, and it is coming. We know that they are enacting harsher and harsher controls over societies. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. But the economy is in tatters. We're over $32 trillion in debt. And there is a shock to our financial system that is coming. We know that there are shortages in food. We know that there are weird occurrences of 18,000 cows that blow up in dairy farms. I mean, just crazy stuff like this. Things are not stable right now. Why that is, who knows? But if you think you're going to jump off into some national forest one day and be able to survive, let's go into the next article. Over at Reason.com, it says, say goodbye to permissionless travel. Americans will now need a visa to visit Europe in 2024. Meanwhile, Europeans who have been to Cuba are discovering they can't come to the U.S. because of terrorism. Once upon a time, citizens of the United States could travel to almost every country in the European Union for 90 days without asking any government for permission beyond showing a passport at the initial point of entry. It was, and still is, for a few waning months, a marvelous, if under-acknowledged, achievement for liberty. Well, we got to put the kibosh on that one, says Klaus Schwab. Alas, the days of frictionless travel will soon be a memory. Starting at a so far unspecified date in early 2024, Americans and residents of 62 other countries that currently enjoy visa-free visitation, I can't pronounce this, so I'm just going to say the Schengen area of the EU. And what that means basically is most of the European countries, with the exception primarily of the United Kingdom, will need to pay a fee and submit an online application, including biometric information, work experience, medical conditions, and initial itinerary. Yeah, you need to tell them everything and everything about where you're going and why you're going there. And then you have to pass a criminal security background check before enjoying that croissant in gay Paris. I mean, I have really no desire to go to any parts of Europe. I've had a lot of people contact me through my channel over the last number of years, and tell me that Europe has just gone downhill. I was in Germany and spent time in Europe back when I was in my early 20s. And so because of the military, I got to visit lots of great countries. I got to see lots of great sites. And part of me, especially now as a homeschool dad, wants to take my kids over there to show them some of the crazy, amazing things that I saw, to show them, some of the historical sites that I got to enjoy. So many things come to mind. One of the things that stands out to me most would be to go back to Greece to see the Mediterranean. Absolutely beautiful country. I was just looking at a picture of Malta the other day. And just wanting, my kid was like, hey, what's that picture of? And I'm like, it's Malta. Just places like that. One of the most beautiful cities I ever got to go see was over in Luxembourg. Absolutely amazing city, beautiful architecture, and one of the things that basically left an impression the most on my brain when I got to visit there. You think you're going to go over to Paris and be like this amazing city, but in my opinion, Paris was a complete and total dump. It smelled, there was trash everywhere. I was expecting this Hollywood version of this city of love. It was like a city of trash. So, leave a comment. It was kind of cool to see Notre Dame and the Eiffel Tower. But I really just don't have a desire to see these places because I've heard from you and I've seen, some of the restrictions and controls and all of this stuff. And people say that the immigration, that the problems that they've had, there, just like we're having here, it's like it's not fun anymore. I had a guy who moved from Germany. He was a former U.S. soldier, and he moved from Germany with his German wife to the Ozarks. And he was telling me Germany is not like it used to be, Zach, when you were there. Oktoberfest has been completely ruined by all of the stupid immigration that Germany has undertaken. And it's just all of that. It's not fun. It's not fun. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Have you been to Europe? Is there anything in Europe you want to see still? Because if you want to see it, you might want to see it soon because it's about done. And with all of these controls and things, it's only going to get worse. Do you think these controls are going to stop with Europe? Leave a comment below because I don't think they're gonna. I think they're gonna. You want to travel state to state? You better start getting the idea through your head that you're going to have to let the government know why you want to travel state to state. Because they are going to want to know what you're up to, why you're up to, where, why, when, how. They want to know everything about you. And if you want to go visit your family in another state, you better tell them why. And you better schedule in advance so that you can be approved for that travel. That's what's coming to America. And that's one of the reasons why you see so many people wanting to move to more rural areas where liberty still exists in a small part. Hey, listen, you live in an apartment in the city, yeah, they may lock you down like the Chinese. But out here, no one's going to tell me not to go out on my front porch. I control all the land around my house. That's not going to happen where I live. And people see that and they're like, oh, that's the kind of lifestyle I want to live. However, don't just take that jump off and go drive off into the mountains and expect to survive like these 3 campers did. It's not going to end up well for you. But I'm interested to hear what you think. Leave a comment below and let me know, hey, listen, are you interested in going to Europe? Are you interested in travel? How's it been for you homesteading and being off-grid if you're off-grid? Also, you can visit us over at patreon.com. You can join for as little as $1 a month to keep up on videos that we have over there. We're putting out some content there, and I have some speaking events coming up and some travel stuff coming up, and we're doing some amazing things behind the scenes here on the Homestead that you're only going to be able to see over there. I haven't been on YouTube lately because I've been busy running around. Actually had a little bit of a head cold the other day, and so I didn't want to come on here, but I did do a video over at patreon.com. You can watch those over a link in the description below. All right, guys, check out our merchandise, teespring.com. You can find our best-selling shirt, Stupid Should Hurt. If we had more hurt in this world, we'd have an awful, awful lot less stupid. And there's quite a bit of stupid going around. Who's to blame for all that? I would say it's the lawyers. All right, see you next time in the Homestead. Bye.
This is Grandma. Grandma survived the Great Depression. She survived the Great Depression because her supply chain was local and she knew how to do stuff. Grandma was smart. Grandma told us to make do with what you got. She also said, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Homesteading is all about self-reliance and declaring ourselves to be independent from the system. We grow our own food, we raise our own animals, and doing these things helps safeguard our families from the unpredictable world that surrounds us. But what about banking? I love being my own power company, but what about being my own bank? Right now, our country is over $30 trillion in debt and rising. The Fed keeps printing money and the Congress won't stop spending money. Staying attached to the modern banking system and their investment vehicles is like putting all of your eggs in one very, very fragile basket. On one side, you have the threat of inflation and your savings value floating away. And the other side is a possible deflationary stock market collapse, just like what happened in the 1930s. Genesis Gold Group is like a basket holding eggs, and these eggs are impossible to break. History shows us that all paper investments have and will return to their intrinsic value eventually. Zero. But gold, silver, and other precious metals have never, ever been worthless. In every collapse throughout history, people have turned back to precious metals to find monetary value. If you have a 401k, an IRA, or a savings account where you're literally watching the purchasing power inflate away, give Genesis Gold Group a call right now. Today, this instant. They can develop a strategy for you in the days ahead. I can tell you how I raise sheep, I can tell you how I raise chickens, or the best way to grow tomatoes, or how to hook up a solar panel. But Genesis Gold Group is your best shot at safeguarding your hard-earned savings and investments during this increasingly turbulent time in history. The link and phone number is in the description below, or visit their website at genesisgoldgroup.com. And be sure to say you heard about them from An American Homestead. Hey guys, did you know you can become a patron of an American Homestead? They get access to private videos, and we send them gifts from the homestead that we make here on the homestead. And we also enter our patrons into special giveaways that are only available to them. And before you go, please check out these other great videos. Go ahead, click. Oh wait.